absolutely astonishing season.
And welcome to the final round of the FSR IndyCar series here at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're here today to cap off what has been a great IndyCar championship thus far. During, I guess you would call it the downtime for the FSR League, although we're still here racing. Right now we're in warm-up. I'll try to take you through everything fairly quickly here and get you caught up as we're about ready to move to the race in just around 7.5 minutes here. But this is the final round of the FSR IndyCar series that we're having during our interstasis period, I guess you would call it, between our new FSR Winter Series that's going to be coming up and the new FSR World Championship, Pro Championship, and Academy Championships that we're going to be having this next year for the main division that we race here at FSR, which is the Formula Cars. So a little bit about the championship. First of all, I'm your broadcaster, Tyler Parker here, along with Peter Schultze on cameras. We're going to be bringing you the action today here from the lovely Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What you can tell about this track is obviously we're not on the oval. We are on the 2014 IndyCar road course layout. The famed IndyCar track that was originally built for the Formula One cars all the way back in 2000. Has been obviously modified over the years for multiple different uses, obviously Formula One, MotoGP, and I believe it was 2012, if I'm not mistaken, 2012 or 2013, they actually decided, you know what, let's bring the Indy cars here. This is going to be the 2014 layout, which is obviously a few caveats, a few changes made that are differing from obviously the old F1 layout. Not incorporating the famous first turn from the IndyCar oval as the old F1 layout did, and a little bit more flowy and quick corners than some of the MotoGP corners that you would see on track here. Great layout, and a lot of the drivers really enjoy it. So we'll get you here to a quick recap of our championship. Obviously, our new FSR IndyCar Championship champion, Jacob Reed, was crowned last round at Road America, where we had a couple of guest drivers in there that really shook up the results. Michi Hoyer coming in there and winning that round. But other notable drivers, such as Jeffrey Fournier, coming in there and winning, or well, not winning, scoring a podium finish. But Jacob Reed was able to cement himself with a solid second place finish and wrap up that points championship I believe it was last week at Elkhart Lake at Road America. So with the championship all done and dusted, we obviously had plays on the positions for P2, P3, and P4. Unfortunately, it seems like Vladislav Pavlov and Argenis Riera won't be able to make the race today, as we've already passed through qualifying. And again, about 4.5 minutes in warm-up here. So it looks like as long as Thomas Lenz finishes above 18th, which he should, considering we have 14 runners, he should finish second in the championship, leapfrogging Pavlov and Riera. Although we do have, if I'm not mistaken, Thomas Vach here as well, and Thomas Vach is going to need to score at least, I want to say it's above 14th. And if he can finish in front of Lenz at all, or at least, what's the difference there? About 5 points ahead of Lenz at all, he should be able to leapfrog Lenz and potentially steal that second place finish that Lenz should be able to get here for the top 3 positions in the FSR IndyCar Championship. I'll take you through the field once we grid up here, but it has been a great championship thus far this year, and a lot of action to be certain. And Jacob Reed, a little bit about him, our champion, hasn't finished off the podium at all. So Jacob's going to be wanting to continue that streak. All 4 races this year, he's finished either first, second, or third. Obviously, the 2 second place finishes buoying that result in the last 2 rounds. Our winners this year, though, we have had many. Obviously, Jacob Reed won the second round at Road Atlanta. We had Lorenz Doherty, who raced 2 rounds, and he was able to score the first win at Watkins Glen. Cameron Rodgers, who's also going to be Rodger, who's going to be racing in this race, and who will be performing the duties of race director for us for this round as well, is going to be. He won at the Mid Ohio round a few weeks ago, and obviously Mitchie Hoyer, who won't be racing here today, of ACR Zaxbyed fame, won the last round at Road America. So that'll take you through our winners and notable finishers for this year. But again, really, my eyes are going to be on the race and the finish for the second and third place in this year's FSR IndyCar Championship. So still a lot on the line, and a lot of drivers can leapfrog well up the positions here, as we are definitely having a roughly average field size, I would say. But a lot of the notable names far up in the points, not here for this final round, unfortunately. So it'll give some of these other drivers a chance to shine. So it will definitely be interesting. As we actually have a 15th driver coming in right now. Eric Kuchenberger is entering the race. So we're going to have 15 drivers. So that will be great. A little bit about the FSR IndyCar series. If you haven't caught up on any of the rounds, obviously go to the YouTube page, subscribe. All the races are on there. If you want to take a look, definitely take a look at those older races. Plenty of great action, to be certain. We are obviously racing the DW Delara 12 chassis here, road course configuration. We also have series rules that will require you to use an option tire, which will be a red sidewall tire, and a prime tire, which will be a black sidewall tire, if you can see during the race. And we also have a wonderful new interface we've been trying out for this series, where we actually have a track map in the corner of the screen, and you'll be able to see who's setting fast laps, who set the fastest lap, and who's coming into the pits or going out on an outlap due to a color coding system. Fastest is purple. Overall fastest is purple. A fast lap will be green, and an outlap or in-lap, outlap and or a warm-up lap will be blue. As we are now going to be switching over to the race, and we'll be taking you through that. So I can't wait to get started. I'm actually an Indianapolis native and have been to this track multiple times since about 1995. I'm psyched to get started and racing here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and seeing Indy cars anywhere near that track is it just warms my insides, especially on a chilly day in Indianapolis at ambient temperature 5C. But we are going to have a balmy track temperature of 29 degrees, so we won't have to worry about cold tires at all. As we move into the race, formation and everything, I'm going to give you a full field rundown as we're just waiting for that to pass. A little bit more about some of the championship implications here. So with 15 drivers, again, Thomas Lenz will need to finish above 18th, which he should, unless we have another 4 drivers enter the race here on very quick notice. But Thomas Bach will need to finish at least 14th or above to at least negate any sort of he'd have to finish 14th at least to leapfrog himself up into second, and then try to finish ahead 5 more points ahead of wherever Thomas Lenz finishes to actually get into that third position. So as the cars grid up here, we are going to actually take you on a formation lap, and we are going to have a rolling start, much akin to what the Indy cars actually do in real life. So on pole position for this race, we have Kirill Burakov in P1. We have Jan Wozniak in P2. Third place is our new series champion, Jacob Reed, starting in third. It's going to bode well for him to try and continue that podium streak. Philip Kraus starting in fourth. Vlad Tokarev maybe starting in fifth. He might be starting from the pit lane as he wasn't able to make the grid in time. So it'll definitely be interesting to see where he slots out. Marek Godek will be starting provisional P6. Christian Lazaro will be starting P7. Thomas Vach in P8. Cameron Rodgers in P9. Alexei Meisen, or Alexei Meisen in P10. Michael Wilson, P11. Thomas Lenz, P12. Cass Reitveld in P13. Anton Shirachenko in P14, did not set a qualifying time. And Eric Kuchenberger will be starting in P15. Recent addition, just joined during warm-up. So we hope if he had any issues, they're sorted. And looking forward to getting this field going. Quick shout out to the drivers who have made all rounds this year. Jacob Reed, obviously, Thomas Lenz, Thomas Vach, and Christian Lazaro making all the rounds and competing in every round of the IndyCar FSR IndyCar series this year. Just a great job to you guys, and hopefully we see you get the finishes that you deserve for the work that you put in and commitment to the series. As we are now forming up the pace cars in, and we have the green flag right now, and Kirill Burakov gets a huge jump right now, as Philip Kraus right now is on the outside. I guess would be sort of the prime line there. Is Jacob Reed on the inside, as Marek Godek then has to slot in behind. Philip Kraus runs a little bit wide there. We are going to basically hold station with the top four with Kirill Burakov, Philip Kraus, Jacob Reed, Marek Godek. Jan Wozniak is dropped all the way back to P5. Christian Lazaro, P6. Cameron Rodgers has moved up 2 positions to P7. Thomas Vach is dropped farther back into P8. Cass Reitveld, P9. Michael Wilson, P10. Alexei Meisen looks to be a little bit off the pace and has just been passed by Thomas Lenz. Alexei down to P12. He's going to be under attack by Eric Kuchenberger, but not able to get that into the 7th turn there. And Anton Shirachenko, P14, and Vlad Tokarev, who started from the pit lane, in the final place. This Kirill Burakov now coming through it's turn 12 there, as he's going to complete the first lap and will lead the first lap here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Indy GP 2014 layout that we have here at FSR. And Kirill Burakov will lead the first lap, the first of 42 laps. So the strategy, I'll get into that a little bit here. The strategy is going to be run your soft tires to roughly as far as you can, try and get to halfway, and then most likely try and end the race on the hard tires. A little bit about that strategy: you do have to use both compounds. The option tire, which is the red sidewall tire, and the prime tire, which is the black sidewall tire. You are going to have to run both of those compounds during the race to have your finish actually count. So as we see, Eric Kuchenberger has dropped all the way back down to P15, so maybe he had a slight off there. I'm just not sure what happened to Alexei Meisen there. He's dropped all the way back to P12. Started a little bit farther up in the field there. And Cass Reitveld is definitely on a charge right now. I believe he started all the way back into P12, and he's moved all the way up to P9. Thomas Vach, Christian Lazaro, and Cameron Rodgers has now moved up another position, so put Cameron Rodgers into P6. Again, nothing has really changed up front, except it seems that Jacob Reed has been able to get by Philip Kraus. So that has obviously changed, but for the most part, everybody else holding steady there. As not sure exactly what happened, but Jacob Reed now on a tear, wants to put an exclamation point on this FSR IndyCar Championship this year, trying to win in his final outing in this final round of this championship. Jacob Reed is already the FSR IndyCar champion for this year, so nothing at the top of the points table to really look at. But for second and third, obviously, Thomas Lenz right now and Thomas Bach are vying for that second and third position. It'll just be who finishes in front of who. Thomas Bach having a 5-point deficit, he's going to have to climb. So if he can pad his results a little bit, finish at least 2 or 3 positions ahead of Thomas Lenz, he should definitely be able to take that second place away from Thomas Lenz. We have Philip Kraus into the pits. I wonder if Philip Kraus had some issues. Might have missed that as I was doing a field rundown at the first lap, but Philip Kraus into the pits, and I'm assuming he would probably switch onto those Blackwall prime tires so he can be on the faster compound later in the race when he has to make another pit stop. I'm skeptical that the primes would be able to last the rest of this race. As Philip definitely in there. He does not change tires, or if he does, he goes back out on the Redwall option tires. So interesting strategy there from Philip, and we will see where that slots out in the rest of the race. But right now, Kirill Burikov leading this race right now. Jacob Reed P2. That gap has seemed to stabilize a bit to about, not really getting a live timing up there yet. Marek Godek, though, about 3.5 seconds behind Kirill Burikov there, and seems to be dropping a little bit farther back. Jan Wozniak, P4. Christian Lazaro now up to P5. Doing a great job there is Christian Lazaro, one of the drivers who's made it to almost every round. Cameron Rodgers, though, right on his back wing there, pulls to the inside on the front stretch here at Indianapolis, and he is going to take that position easily as Cameron gets a huge lockup going into turn 1, and this is going to allow Christian to maybe mount a counterattack, but unfortunately, Christian not able to get by Cameron Rodgers there, and Cameron positioned his car beautifully. Cameron, though, still locking up that right front tire, and that is not going to help him later on in the race, especially on this softer option compound. And I've been informed by our wonderful cameraman Peter Schultze that Philip had a penalty. Wonder if that was maybe for a jump start or something. But we will we will definitely be keeping an eye out on Philip Kraus, as he has definitely had pace all this today for the most part, and we're definitely going to keep an eye on him to see if he's not able to maybe put in a recovery drive through the field and salvage some points. As we now have Cameron Rodgers up to 5th place on Christian Lazaro, although Cameron hasn't gapped him yet. Quick update for the lead. We do have about a 3.5 as Jacob Reed just gets really squirrely going through the second turn there into turn 3, doing a little bit of a power slide as Kirill Burikov has basically pulled out a 3.5 second lead right now, and he is vanishing into the horizon very quickly. As we have had Jan Wozniak with a little bit of a spin there, coming up through turn 5, 6, and 7 there, as Jan Wozniak was spinning there, just probably got the braking point wrong and spun around, as that'll move Cameron Rodgers up to P4. Christian Lazaro, though, all over the back, as we have Eric Kuchenberger into the pits as well. But Cameron Rodgers now getting harassed by Christian Lazaro, as the gap is stabilized now to probably about 3 or 4 tenths of a second. But Lazaro definitely within striking range, especially if Cameron makes a mistake. Oh, and Phil has crashed. Phil has crashed and is DNF'd out of the race. That is awful. I know Phil, a fellow American, is a huge fan of the IMS. He was lamenting in chat earlier. He goes, "Man, I wish we could race the oval." I'm with you there, Phil, but I don't get to make those decisions. As Eric Kuchenberger has also DNF'd as well. So 14th and 15th position in this race have locked themselves up. Unfortunately, they won't be receiving any points, so Philip Kraus won't be moving ahead in the standings at all. Neither will Eric Kuchenberger due to our point schema here. But unfortunate result for Philip Kraus, as he was well up in the field early on, and that penalty just seemed to put him too far on the back foot, and eventually ended up crashing out of the race, pushing to get back what he had lost. Battle now between Cameron Rodgers and Christian Lazaro. I'm going to go to this one because it's really the closest one that we have on track. About 20 seconds behind our leader, Kirill Birikov, who is just vanishing into the distance, really taking control of this race. But Christian Lazaro right now seems to just lose a little bit on Cameron in those last few turns, but does a great job in that sort of flow sector of really catching Cameron in. Although it could have been potentially because Cameron had a few lockups. The tire attempts might be coming back to Cameron a little bit better now, and Cameron might be able to. Oh, so we have another big crash on the front stretch, and that's the man who might be vying for that second position here in the championship, Thomas Lenz. He gets the car righted. He doesn't have a rear wing, though. So this is going to be disaster for Thomas Lenz's championship run, as he is fighting against Thomas Vach, who is his potential rival right now for that second position in the championship. Thomas will be assured of at least a third place position or finish in the championship, but he's going to have his hands full trying to get that car back around to the pits. As right now, Christian Lazaro has been able to get by Cameron Rodgers. So Cameron had a mistake somewhere, and Christian Lazaro right now out in front. P4 Christian Lazaro having a great day here at IMS. And Jan Wozniak seems to have found the wheels underneath that car a little bit, as he's going to be looking to put Cameron Rodgers under a little duress as he locks up that front right tire. Just not able to get enough bite and traction there to really drive up under the rear wing of Cameron Rodgers there. Cameron runs wide a little bit through that turn. Doesn't take the most optimal line, and Jan Wozniak is going to be looking to optimize on this. And Jan might have a run on him. Definitely going to be into the toe. He's going to maybe look to the inside coming up here on turn 8. And unfortunately, Jan not close enough to make that work. It is a very tight turn there. Turn 8. Here on track, Jan smokes up or slides the car a little bit, slides it a little bit more, going through 9 and 10. Cameron getting a little bit more of a slide as Jan Wozniak and Cameron Rodgers, closest battle on track, about 0.4 of a second. Jan Wozniak again lights up that right front. Cameron Rodgers just not able to get the car to turn through turn 13. Jan Wozniak makes the turn into turn 14 on the inside. Just a great job coming through turn 16 there. And Jan Wozniak now up to P5. But Jan just not having a whole lot of speed. I wonder if he missed a ship. Cameron Rodgers just drives by. Either that or was one heck of a good... Oh, it's Cameron! Gets it all crazy through there. Cameron clips the curb on the inside of turn 1, and he's going to lose another position to Thomas Vach. Cameron Rodgers back to P7. Cameron just smoked up the front tires, locked up the right front again. He's been having issues with that going into turn 1. Clips the inside, takes too much curb at a turn 1, and he just slides it through there, and he loses the position not only to Jan Wozniak, but Thomas Vach as well. Is Cameron now trying to put up a fight, trying to look to the inside of Thomas Vach to regain that 6th position, but I just don't think you're going to be close enough, Cameron. You're just sliding the car a little bit too much, as we've had another huge crash with Cass Reitfeld now out of the race, Michael Wilson into the pits, and Thomas Lenz into the pits. Two teammates there, Michael Wilson and Thomas Lenz, with the similar liveried cars, with the YouPorn sponsorship on there. Unfortunately, Michael Wilson and Thomas Lenz both having rear wing issues. No rear wings on those cars. So this is going to definitely shake up the standings a bit, as I've got to think Thomas Lenz is going to be relegating himself to finishing P3 in this championship unless Thomas Vach DNFs out of this race. So we'll give you a full field rundown here after 10 laps. We have Kirill Birikov ahead by about 10.5 seconds back to Jacob Reed. Marek Godek in P3. Christian Lazaro now holding station and really holding on to that P4. We have Jan Wozniak in P5. Thomas Vach, P6. Cameron Rodgers now, though, takes that P6 away on an outside maneuver into turn 8. Great maneuver there by Cameron Rodgers. doing a great job of just keeping that outside line working and really getting that car wound down enough to make that turn and keep enough grip to make that pass on the outside of Thomas Vach. Is Thomas Vach now having some issues as Tokarev has been able to get by him as well. So Thomas Vach seems to be having some sort of issue with his vehicle as he's just not able to get enough space. As Cameron Rodgers now runs wide and runs off the track as we have Jan Wozniak into the pits right now, potentially going to go on to the black sidewall tires. And as soon as we have the action calm down a little bit here, I will get you guys an update on that strategy. But we have Thomas Vach now in Vlad Tokarev in P5, Thomas Vach P6, Cameron Rodgers P7, Jan Wozniak into the pits now, moving back to P9, Oleski Meisen in P8, Anton Shirachenko right now in P10, Michael Wilson coming out of the pits now, and Thomas Lenz are back on track. They are both 2 laps down. And I've just been informed that Jan actually had a cutting penalty that he had to serve. Oh, as he gets very close to Anton Shirachenko there, and he's able to get that position. So move Jan Wozniak back up to P9. Jan's probably going to be acting like he has a bee in his bonnet. Very unhappy man after that cutting penalty, I'm sure. But Anton Shirachenko now P10. Jan Wozniak relegated into that. With Thomas Lenz and Michael Wilson 3 laps down. Final full field rundown is Cass Reitveld out with suspension. Phil Kraus and Eric Kuchenberger. And Wozniak has spun yet again. And this looks to be at turn, I want to say that's 10. And that's the same area where I believe he had issues before. He might just be trying to take that turn a little. Oh no, it was my bad. It was turn 4 or 5, I believe, where he had the issues before. But Jan just seems like the car is a little bit too tail happy, and Jan gonna come into the pits now and maybe slap on a new set of skins, new set of tires there, and we'll see what goes on. So a quick update on strategy that I'm gonna get you guys. So right now we have Kirill Burikov still on the option tires. We have, it's very hard to see. Jacob Reed still in the shadows. He's still on the option tires as well. Merrick Godek still on his option tires. Christian Lazaro still on his option tires. Cameron Rodgers still on option tires as well. Thomas Wozniak, option tires as well. Vlad Tokarev in option tires as well. Oleski Meisen is actually on those option tires as well. And we have Anton Shirachenko is actually our only runner right now that I can see. Nope, Anton Shirachenko is our front runner right now on the prime tires. Jan Wozniak has come in and switched to the prime tires as well. And we still have Thomas Lenz and Michael Wilson on those option tires also. So that is a quick rundown on the tire strategy, at least, that is going on. But the story of this race right now for me has been Kirill Burikov has just really dominated from the get-go. Jacob Reed and Philip Kraus tried to put some pressure on him early on, but he's just been slowly but surely, well, not slowly but surely, but fastly and surely vanishing in the distance in front of Jacob Reed there. And her other big story for this race has been the amount of incidents and track cuttings that we've seen to have gotten from a lot of the drivers that's riding on with Merrick Godek right now, and locks up that right front. A lot of lockups going into turn 1. Guys being very aggressive on the brakes. As we have Jan Wozniak back into the pits, I wonder, he's going to pull straight to the garage, and he's just going to end his day right now. So as Michael Wilson has decided to do the same. So we now have 10 cars running once Thomas Lenz is able to get by Jan Wozniak for position in about 3 laps time. We'll have 10 cars running, and that'll be our field for the duration of the race, unless some other folks have some issues. As I see Jacob Reed now coming into the pits, this is going to be, this is actually a little bit earlier than what I thought. Oh, Jacob really having to get on the brakes, locking up, smoking those option tires, trying to get it down to the pit speed limit. as Jacob Reed's going to be coming into the pits. I wonder if this is for a scheduled pit stop. I would think it would be a little early for that, but we shall see. Perhaps Jacob knows something we don't about these prime tires, and he might, as he switches to the prime tires, car drops off the jacks, and away he goes. Jacob Reed has a penalty for speeding as well, I've been informed, so he's going to have to come back around, as we have a little bit of a pit lane cut there too by Mr. Reed, so not going the best for our new series champion, as he's out there though, but he is now out on the prime tire, which should last a little bit longer. We also have Thomas Vach and Kirill Birikov, our leader, coming into the pits. Thomas Vach into the pits, going on to those harder, more consistent wear compounds of the prime tire, and I'm assuming Kirill Birikov will be doing the same. So it looks like the life of our option tire is about 14 laps. So it might be interesting to see if these guys push. There might be some people who push longer and try to make these prime tires last the whole way. Oh, Kirill Birikov comes in. It might have been a penalty for Mr. Birikov there, but not sure, as he's taking his second set of alternates there, Kirill Birikov has. And very interesting strategy. Evidently, he's going for the I want to run away from you guys as fast as possible strategy, which actually isn't too bad of a strategy, especially with a 25-second lead that he still has over second place Christian Lazaro. So, quick rundown after we've had some pit stops here and some differing strategies. Kirill Birikov still in first. Christian Lazaro now up to P2. We have Merrick Godek, P3. Jacob Reed, our FSR IndyCar Series Championship for 2018, P4. Cameron Rodgers, P5. Vlad Tokarev in P6. Oleski Meisen, P7. Thomas Vach, P8. Anton Shirachenko coming into the pits off of his prime tires, so might be mirroring the strategy, but I feel like he could have gone longer on those, Mr. Anton, as he's not in his pit box as of yet. Pulling in, seems to have missed it. And Thomas Lenz catching a little air there, coming through turn 6 and or turn 7 there. And Thomas Lenz, unfortunately, 2 laps down to the leader in P10. Those are our cars running. We have Jan Wozniak, Michael Wilson, Cass Reitfeld, Phil Kraus, and Eric Kuchenberger all DNF'd and out of the race due to either contact, accidents, or just being too far back. So yeah, very interesting strategy call by Kirill Birikov, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad call, especially with the pace and the ability that he has to really gap the field. So I think this might actually be a masterstroke from Mr. Birikov here in what he's doing. That is, though, if the guys who are switching to these prime tires can't seem to find some pace and just extend it that much farther than Mr. Birikov will, than Kirill Birikov will, and be able to sort of leapfrog him in the pits. And right now we have our field pretty evenly spaced out, as I'm going to try and do some quick math and not get too quiet for you guys, although I do enjoy being quiet when I'm doing my math, as it seems like we have Anton Shirachenko and Jacob Reed in to serve these speeding penalties, as Oleski Meisen has come into the pits. I'm assuming this is for his scheduled stop, as we haven't seen him into the pits as of yet. But Jacob Reed and Anton Shirachenko are coming into the pits, I'm assuming, to serve speeding penalties for coming through the pits, unless Anton has just made another pit stop for a reason. But yes, Oleski Meisen has come into the pits and slapped on a set of prime tires, so he should be good to go Is he gets the pit lane exit a little crazy. He didn't cut the pit lane line, but he definitely wanted to do some gardening with that DW12 there. And we have Merrick Godek in from P3 and Vlad Tokarev in from P4 or P5 into the pits right now, and they're going to be making their scheduled pit stops. So this is roughly around when I thought the pit stops would be going, somewhere around lap 22 to 24. I thought maybe the tires would last longer, but evidently IMS, obviously known for that crazy finish in F1 where you had 5 cars just start the race, can be very rough on tires at times, especially if you're locking up, it seems like, in almost every lap. So after we've had some of these pit stops, they'll give you a full field rundown yet again. We have Kirill Birikov in P1, Christian Lazaro still in P2. I believe he's still on his first set of option tires, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to confirm that real quick. Yeah, I've put on 20 laps on those tires, so great job there by Christian Lazaro making these tires last. Is lapping Shirachenko. We have Cameron Rodgers coming into the pits as well. And he has a cutting penalty as well that he's going to be serving. So I believe you might be able to stack these in this series. So he might be serving the penalty and then getting his service afterward, as he is actually also on that first set of options that he has as well. Merrick Godek will be passing him, moving up to P3. Cameron Rodgers down to P4. Vlad Tokarev in P5. Jacob Reed all the way down after his speeding penalty has been served in P6, although he is vastly closing up on Vlad Tokarev. Thomas Bach in P7. Go ahead. Oh, Cam stalled his car in pit lane. He's going to have to try and reignite that to get going. So hopefully, Cam can get going, because he is just losing so much time in the pits right now. Moving him back. He's going to be moving back to P8 now even, and has lost the lap. And unfortunately, Cameron Rodgers has DNF due to a fuel issue. So we have Anton Shirachenko back into the pits as well. But Cam stalled the car, couldn't get it refired, unfortunately. So we are now going to have 9 runners into the end of the championship, to the end of this championship. 9 running cars. As we have Jacob Reed has been able to get by Vlad Tokarev in the short shoot section, heading into turn 14 there, and move Vlad Tokarev back to P5. Jacob Reed back up to P4, as Jacob Reed is going to be trying to hustle this car as fast as he can to try and catch Merrick Godek, because Jacob Reed hasn't finished outside of a podium finish this year in the FSR IndyCar series, and he's going to definitely want to keep that streak alive. As I promised, I'm going to do some quick and possibly not very concise math, but it's all we have right now for the battle for P2 in the FSR IndyCar Championship, as we have Thomas Lenz now sitting at 92 points and Thomas Bach at 89. So the difference between those two is, roughly 3 points. And right now, where Thomas Lenz is sitting, he would score 10 points, so he would be at he would score 20 points, so he would be at 112 points. And where Thomas Bach is sitting right now, in P, as we have Shirachenko back into the pits again. Seems like he's just getting speeding penalties, it would seem like. Sitting in 6th place. So again, a 3-point difference right now between Thomas Bach and Thomas Lenz. And Thomas Bach has been able to climb out of that hole and make it a make up those 3 points and turn it into a 3-point advantage right now over Thomas Lenz. So if Thomas Bach is able to hold on to this position, he should be able to leapfrog Thomas Lenz in the championship and finish P2 in the FSR IndyCar Championship. Well, Thomas Lenz into the pits right now for, I'm assuming, maybe a track cutting and or regular service, switching on to another set of those tires. And it would actually be 1 point behind. So Thomas Vach right now would win P2 in the FSR IndyCar Championship by 1 point over Thomas Lenz for the second position in the championship. So if Thomas Lenz is able to get by Anton Shirachenko at some point during this race, or we have another car DNF, that could switch up the championship a little bit. But Thomas Lenz is going to have to try and get by Anton Shirachenko if possible. As we have Merrick Godek, who's had a disconnection or some sort of issue on track here, and from running very high up there, and that's going to add another wrinkle to this championship fight for P2. As unfortunately Merrick Godek has DNF'd out of this race, and he was basically having a wonderful round. He was running up into the top 5 all day long, and that'll just be gutting for Merrick Godek there. But again, that's moving Thomas Lenz up 1 position, but also moving Thomas Vach up another position as well. So quick field rundown after all this action that's happened is Kirill Birukov in P1, Christian Lazaro P2, Jacob Reed P3, Vlad Tokarev in P4, Thomas Vach P5, Aleski Meisen P6, Anton Shirachenko in P8, and Thomas Lenz in P9. But Anton Shirachenko and Thomas Lenz will be effectively in P7 and 8 once Merrick Godek comes into the pits. So we have P2 into the pits right now. Christian Lazaro into the pits. And this will be the key right now. How much time can he, or was he able to save or lose by staying on these option tires as long as he did? I believe he did almost 25 or 26 laps on these option tires. Check that right now. And yeah, he was able to do 25 laps on those option tires. And Christian Lazaro has effectively stayed into P1. Although Jacob Reed right now just entering the front stretch here at IMS. So he's going to be probably roughly 20-some seconds, maybe 25 seconds back of Christian Lazaro. And Kirill Birukov just entering the front stretch right now. So Kirill Birukov, remember, went on an alternate strategy. And Kirill actually has no wing. Kirill Birukov has no front wing. So Kirill is going to have to come in and make a pit stop. And this would be the optimum time to come in and switch onto those prime tires if you're having to come in, because the amount of time that you are going to lose is going to be huge with no front wing around here. And this could actually play into the hands of Christian Lazaro and Jacob Reed swimmingly. So Kirill Birukov, I'm expecting, should be making his pit stop this lap for front wing damage, and also making a pit stop for the option tires, or the prime tires, which he'll be required to finish the race on, or at least use for 1 lap. And Thomas Lenz has been able to get by Anton Shirachenko, who seems to just be coming in each lap and pitting for either new tires and or serving pit speed penalties. But yes, Aleski or Kirill Birukov should be coming into the pits right now, and Christian Lazaro has cut that gap down to 33 seconds right now. And Christian Lazaro he may potentially pass. He should pass Kirill Birukov in the pit lane if he does this full service stop here, which I would be thinking he would be doing for that front wing damage. So here comes Christian Lazaro into the short chute out of turn 12. Or turn 13 into turn 14 through turn 15 right now, as Kirill Birukov still hasn't reached his pit box. It's an arduous drive down there at pit speed limit all the way down to the end of that front stretch. Christian Lazaro onto the front stretch right now. Gives a little kiss to the wall, and he will actually pass Kirill Birukov, who's dominated this race for up to 26 laps, unfortunately. Christian Lazaro now in the lead of this race, with Jacob Reed roughly 20 seconds or 19 and a half seconds behind. As Kirill Birukov now out of the pits on his option tires. So it looks like he didn't change tires at all. So this is actually going to play in Christian Lazaro's hands. Since Kirill Birukov did not switch tires, you are required to change, to use both compounds of the option and prime tires during the race. So Kirill Birukov will have to come back in and switch to those prime tires at some point in time during the race. And right now, he's 11.8 seconds behind Christian Lazaro. From the position that he's held since the drop of the green flag, P1. Kirill Birukov now P2. Jacob Reed has been able to get, as he runs wide there a little bit, coming out of turn 12 into turn 13. But Jacob Reed now able to say he's in P3, and if he finishes there, he'll continue that streak and finish on the podium in every race this year. Vlad Tokarev in P4, Thomas Vach P5, Oleski Meisen P6, Thomas Lenz P7, and Anton Shirachenko in P8. Those are your cars running out of the race. Merrick Godek, Cameron Rodgers, Jan Wozniak, Michael Wilson, Cass Reitfeld, Philip Kraus, and Eric Kuchenberger. So it'd be real interesting to see if maybe Kirill Birukov tries to run down Christian Lazaro on these option tires, go as far as he can with them, and then duck into the pits real quick to put on those prime tires for maybe one lap or 2 or 3 laps at the end of the race and fulfill the requirement to win, because he definitely has the pace. He's already taken roughly a second out of Christian Lazaro's time, and he is on a faster compound tire, though about 11 laps. Oh no, I'm showing Kirill's actually on a fresh set of option tires. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting strategy. He should have the optimal pace though to run down Christian Lazaro and gap him, but it's pretty late in the race to be doing that. Again, only 42 laps in this race. It'll be very interesting to see if that's the strategy call. Very unorthodox strategy call, to say the least. Something that I wouldn't have thought would have been a viable option. So we'll see if it works for him. My money's on it probably is not going to. Give you guys all a quick update on the points championship for P2 as Thomas Lenz now will be adding 18. No, that's not correct. Is it correct? No, Thomas Lenz will be adding 26 points to his total for 118, as Thomas Vach will be adding 30 points. So yeah, Thomas is still going to be out ahead, but only again by 1 point. So as long as Thomas Vach holds stations, we have Jacob Reed coming into the pits. Wonder if he got a track cutting violation there. Track cuts have really killed a lot of people's races thus far, and it's definitely been an issue so far, catching out Philip Kraus and Jan Wozniak of people, and really putting them on the back foot for some of these some of their strategies going into this race. As yeah, that's probably what it was. Although maybe Jacob came in to switch onto the option tires because he just said, "Man, these primes are kind of trash." I'm gonna check that for everybody. And yes, that's what I have. Jacob Reed into the pits to switch onto a new set of option tires. So Jacob Reed will be on the faster set of tires, and that moves Tom Wozniak up a position. Tom on the harder prime tire, so he's looking to possibly go to the end of the race on this tire. But Tom Wozniak now is going to be able to move that much farther ahead. What is that going to be? About 3 more points ahead of Thomas Lenz in the championship battle for P2 right now in the FSR IndyCar Championship. So just heartbreak for Thomas as Jacob is back into the pits, likely a pit speed violation and or track cutting yet again, as we're going to focus back on the front of the field as we have Kirill Birukov right now just under 7 seconds back of Christian Lazaro, who has taken the lead after Kirill Birukov had an issue somewhere on track or potentially with a lap car and lost his front wing, had to come in, elected not to go on the second compound, the prime compound of tire to finish the race, but elected to stay on the option compound tire, and that allowed Christian Lazaro to basically leapfrog him in the pits. But now Kirill is hunting down Christian right now with about 10 laps to go. So this will be very interesting. Hopefully Kirill understands the rule that you have to use both compounds during the race, because if he doesn't, it will be heartbreak at the end. He does have our FSR 2018 series IndyCar Series champion, our new champion, Jacob Reed, in between him and Christian. So he will have to navigate by our series champion before he's able to mount an attack on Christian Lazaro. But again, my focus has also been on Thomas Bach v. Thomas Lenz, as we have Jacob Reed coming to the pits yet again, so potentially another track cutting penalty. It just seems like the track cutting has been ruthless today, and penalties just being dished out left and right. But again, and this, if Jacob Reed gets too many more of these, this is actually going to benefit Thomas Lenz, and he'll be then 1 point behind Thomas Bach instead of 3 points behind Thomas Bach for that P2 position in the FSR 2018 FSR IndyCar Championship. So that is what's on the line there. As we take you back to the front, as Kirill Birukov now, plenty of clean track, and can just see Christian Lazaro up ahead, as he's now just under 4.5 seconds behind Christian Lazaro. But again, Kirill has not used every tire compound required to post a valid official finish to this race. So we are either expecting Kirill to come into the pits at least one more time to have to switch that compound to have the results stay official. Whereas Christian Lazaro has just run a masterclass of a race right now. Besides him and Cameron Rodgers, there was really nobody else who could really make the option tire last as long as Christian Lazaro during a Herculean 25-lap stint on that option tire. Just wonderful there from Christian Lazaro, and that's what's put him in P1. But Kirill Birukov now running him down just 3 seconds back of Christian Lazaro, with Vlad Tokarev in P3, Thomas Bach P4, Aleksey Meisen P5, Jacob Reed P6, Thomas Lenz P7, and Anton Shirachenko in P8.
Hello.
And we have our race director and unfortunate engine stall victim, Cameron Rodgers, into the broadcast, and he's going to be helping me take this one home. So I'll get you caught up on the issues at hand right now. We have Kirill Birukov now just under 2.5 seconds back to Christian Lazaro right now, and Kirill hasn't used both sets of tires yet, Cameron. So that's probably going to be a problem at the end of the race, unfortunately. But outside of you and Christian, what was your feeling on those option tires?
They felt pretty good. I mean, they're about a second a lap quicker, maybe a little bit more.
Mm,
So obviously you want to spend as much time on the alternates as you can, but you do have to use both compounds. And if
mhm.
Kiro hasn't, then that would be a DQ, unfortunately, because he did actually get one last race as well, which is a bit awkward. But yeah, I mean that will be checked after the race. Although
Right,
Kirill is
right.
very quick. Kirill is very quick, and he's shown that on the medium tire or the
Mhm.
the alternate tires.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. What was your guys' strategy? Because I saw a lot of people really didn't push that option tire very 15, 14, 15, 16 laps, and then they were having to come in and go on a second set, or they maybe switched to the prime tire and then came back in for the option at the end, which that would be a viable strategy. But you're three stopping at that point. Seems like you and Christian were really able to extend the life of that tire.
Yeah, I was going for a one stop
Mm-hmm.
because it's quite a long pit lane here.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
I was going for a one stop. That's why I was staying out quite long. A two stop is also okay because it's 42 laps, and the way rFactor works is basically if you have more laps, you're going to do another pit stop. That's generally how it works.
Mm,
Even though it's a shorter lap, you still do roughly the same way as you do on some longer laps. That's just how
right.
it works. So a two stop would be possible, I think, but I mean, well, as you can see here, Kiro, he's been quick enough to two stop there. Which Christian's has done a one stop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Christian's
only
done a
done a
one
one
stop.
stop. So yeah, man, as you
And
see, they're coming together right now, so it's close enough on strategy.
yeah, yeah, and obviously, I feel like if Kirill had maybe slapped on those primes when he had that wing damage, it would be a whole different ball game. And definitely, but Kirill Birikov right now, right in the slipstream. Christian Lazaro on the front stretch, pulls to the inside, going into turn one. They're going to Kirill Birikov's going to have the inside. Oh, they touch a little bit and spin. Oh, Christian Lazaro gets the bad end of that. He gets the poor end of the stick there as Kirill Birikov has been able to get by Christian Lazaro. I think it was all fair play to tell you the truth. It didn't seem like a lockup or anything. Both drivers, Kirill could have maybe given a little bit more room, pitched that apex a little bit. But Christian probably not super happy about that. But you know, keep your helmet on there, Christian. You are leading the race effectively outside of any issue with tire strategy that Kirill may have at the end. And also, you've just run a great race with a one stop there. Yeah, that's what I was maybe thinking, especially when Jacob Reed was coming into the pits early, uh, and uh, and Thomas. Well, Thomas had his issues early on, but when Jacob Reed was coming in early and Kirill came in early, I was like, maybe they're going to do a two stop, and they're basically going to you know, put on those options at the end and try to reel people back in, which Kirill has proven, you know, he can do, and he can do it in droves.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate for Christian. I just had a look at the replay. It seems he possibly was a little bit tight turning in, so I think that's probably near enough a racing incident. But he's right in
Yeah.
the back of Kiro now, actually, so he's not given this one up, and he's probably a little bit
Ooh,
angry.
Kirill with a wiggle.
Oh yeah, Kiro's tyres might have actually gone off, considering he is on the softer tyre. Now Christian is going to go round the outside onto the end of this back straight. And earlier on in the race with me, he was actually very good on the brakes here, and yes, he has got past. And Kiro, has he got a problem? Because he's actually dropped a little bit of time there. So no, that is Christian back into the actual lead of the race.
Maybe he overcooked the tires. I know with rFactor 2 a little bit, the tire heat is so important, and making sure you don't overheat them, because you do have a drop in performance a little bit there. Cameron, you can attest to that. Also, you made a great reference there. Yeah, you were amazing on the brakes, pulling off an outside maneuver. I believe it was on Jan Wozniak, I think it was, on the outside of that turn off the Ullman straight there. And it was just an amazing maneuver. Hopefully we got that on broadcast. I hopped over to the end of it there, and yeah, it was amazing.
That's a very nice overtaking spot, because if you just screw up that little chicane, which I think is turn 5 and 6, that it really gives you a good opportunity to make an overtaking. Christian, nice on the brakes there, and he's now taken back the lead of the race with only 3 laps to go.
Yeah, I know that little quick 5 and 6 chicane there. You got to be careful not to grab too much of the curb on that 5, or I guess it's the 6. You hit that and you get a little bit of airborne nature going on in the cars there. Although we did see some people grab too much curb on turn 1 as well and put themselves into some sticky situations. Also, as Jacob Reed, our series champion, back into the pits, and Thomas Lenz was in the pits for, I'm assuming, service, as he slapped on a new pair of alternates. And yeah,
Oh,
pit speed limit or violations too have been the name of the game, along with track cuts today. Cameron, can you tell us a little bit about that?
yeah. The pit entry line is actually quite difficult to read on this track because you have the corner coming into the pit lane and it's bang like on the exit of that corner. So if you don't 100% know where it is very easy to to overshoot it, and there is a quite sort of strict cut detection by the game on this track. So if you get a couple of cuts, you will get a stop go penalty, and then obviously if you speed while going into your stop go, then you have to come in for another drive through or whatever. So there is a lot of potential um, to do that. And Thomas Lenz, who also pitted, he is fighting with Thomas Vac and Meisen in the championship. They are only a couple of points away from each other. And Thomas Lenz, I think, is going for the fastest lap here because the fastest lap gets an extra point. So that is.
Oh, big crash! No, no, no! Oh, Kirill Burikov just missed the braking point, it seemed like, and hit Christian Lazaro. We'll have to take a look at that on replay, but Christian able to just soldier on as Kirill is taking the turn 1 portion of the track, so that'll have to get a look-see at. But Christian Lazaro and then Kirill Burikov came together going into turn 14 there. And just unfortunate there, got caught up in the short shoot. I've seen many an accident occur in a short shoot, just never that direction.
Yeah, Christian's got no front wing as well, and he obviously didn't realise because he went past the pit entry. Yeah, that's not great for Kirill because I just had a look, he broke so late. It's actually letting Christian through here, although that isn't really going to help when Christian is going to be taking the pit stop here. And actually, this is the final lap of the race. Yeah, this is the final lap of the race. So that's probably why he chose to not make a pit stop, although it's not the safest thing in the world. And Kirill's trying to let Christian take the win here, but yeah, that's going to be interesting after the race if there's any sort of protest for that move. Kirill hasn't done the tire rule, so he will be disqualified, unfortunately, if you are correct that he didn't use both compounds. So Christian, if he can keep it going, will take victory here today, which is what Kirill was trying to just about do, though I can't really tell what he's trying to do right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say fair play to Kirill. I think I know what he's trying to do, but again, it's just it's a very interesting way of going about it. But you also have to take into account, you have to be a little bit careful because Vlad Tokarev could get up there. But yeah, Christian Lazaro able to finish the race P1. Kirill Burikov on track P2. We'll see what happens there. Vlad Tokarev is going to come across the line in a provisional P3 as he comes across the line now. Thomas Vac, who I believe is going to be wrapping up the P2 in the championship. So a great drive from Tomas Vac there, who's had a great series all along. P4 Aleski Meisen finishing 1 lap down, but will be crossing the line here. And I believe he's going to be in P maybe 3, but he finished his original P5 on track here. Jacob Reed into P6. Anton Shurachenko into should be finishing in P7, and Thomas Lenz finishes the race in P8. The thing is this Kirill Burikov thing, if he does DQ, that should move everybody up, if I'm not mistaken. And Kirill has apologized to Christian Lazaro there, so that's probably what he was doing. But that's going to move everybody up, and that's going to play a little bit of Mary Todd with the points championship. And I'm going to bust out my trusty calculator here and try and figure out what this will actually do. As I may have been calculating that wrong from the get-go. I hope not. But no, Thomas Vox should be in
because he
P2
gained.
in the championship, and I believe the point spread between Thomas Lenz and Oleski Meisen is going to be a little too much to actually bounce up. So Oleski Meisen is going to finish P4, Thomas Lenz P3, behind our 2018 series champion Jacob Reed, who is very unhappy with the curbage here. And Oleski doing some donuts there. Thomas Vox also doing a great job. And Christian Lazaro, not to be forgot, our provisional P1 and probably official P1 winner there, doing a masterful one-stop here at IMS. Just a great race. Sorry you couldn't be part of it for more, Cameron, but if you want to sort of tell us your feelings about it, I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, I mean this series has been quite good fun. This car is very good car, and it did produce some nice racing over the 5 races that we had in Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Mid Ohio, Road America, and now in Indianapolis. And it's good that I think we had a different winner every single race, so it's a nice sort of varied championship. And quite a large number of people took part over the 5 races as well. And it's been nice that we've been able to do this in the off season, because we got new things coming for 2019 that I'm sure you'll find out very soon.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I may have given a slight spoiler, but yeah, very interesting things going forward for FSR. So if anybody watching the broadcast is interested in joining, head over to formulasimracing.net, join the forum, get involved, watch old races, meet these wonderful people, meet your new president, if I can say that correct, Cameron, of FSR. He's more than willing to talk to you and digitally shake your hand at least, and get you involved in any way that you would like to be involved in FSR. But yeah, a little bit of a wacky race, but Indianapolis always offers up some great racing, and it's been my pleasure to be involved with this off-season brand, and hopefully it comes back next year, because yeah, it's a great way to have sort of a pretty good fun club race, but also showcase whatever talents you have, especially in the sim racing world. So I guess I'll move along to the sign-offs. First of all, we want to congratulate our race winner, Christian Lazaro, and also Kirill Burikov, for showing some pretty good sportsmanship at the end of that race as well. Our 2018 FSR IndyCar champion, Jacob Reed, doing another great job. Unfortunately, he was not able to get a podium finish to round out a all-podium finish for the series this year. But there's always next year, Jacob. So hopefully you come back as well. For myself, Tyler Parker, Cameron Rodgers, our race director, race car driver, and FSR Series president, and Peter Schultze on cameras and feeding me wonderful information during the race. Thank you guys so much. It's been a great pleasure to be a part of this, and we will see you next off season for hopefully the next iteration of the FSR IndyCar Series.